Breaking news, my country people. Atiku Abubakar, the PDP candidate for president, filed a petition with the Supreme Court challenging Tinubu's election victory after the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) pronounced him the winner of the election in February. The Supreme Court is now examining the petition. The Labour Party's Atiku and Obi's attempt to challenge the ruling of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, but their pleas were rejected in an order to provide further evidence against Tinubu for suspected forgery. And Atiku then went to the Supreme Court. Atiku had requested Tinubu's academic records from Chicago State University to prove his allegation that the president submitted forged documents to INEC. However, the documents were released after the 180-day statutory period within which an election petition should be filed and determined had elapsed. Atiku then asked the court to grant his appeal to tender fresh evidence, but Tinubu opposed this, arguing that it would amount to an abuse of court process. Atiku argued that presenting forged documents by any candidate, especially one running for the highest office in the land, is a grave constitutional issue that must not be encouraged. He also pointed out that the presentation of a forged certificate disqualifies a candidate for all time, no matter what it is presented. However, Tinubu maintained that the issue is a pre-election matter and prayed the court to delay the grant of the order. So during the hearing on Monday, Justice John Okoro, the chairman of the 7-member panel, noted that criminal matters have to be proven beyond reasonable doubt. He also pointed out that there are two conflicting letters from the Chicago State University, one authenticating the president's certificate and another discrediting it, and asked which one should the court rely on. So the case actually highlights the importance of transparency and integrity in the electoral process, because it is crucial that candidates for public offices are held to the highest standards of honesty and integrity. And any allegations of wrongdoing are thoroughly investigated and proven beyond reasonable doubt. The Supreme Court's decision in this case will have far-reaching implications for the future of Nigeria's democracy and the credibility of the electoral process. That is why we have to be very, very careful. But you see, the Tinubu is telling the Supreme Court, not to admit any fresh evidence. That is what he is telling the court, that they shouldn't admit any fresh evidence, especially as it relates to his certificate forgery scandal, that of the Chicago State University, that he shouldn't admit any of them, because he knows that if they do, well, that would put him at a disadvantage, which would not be favorable for him. So at this point, Atiku Abubakar is trying so hard to make sure he admits fresh evidence. Atiku is trying to urge the Supreme Court to do so, because the presidential candidate of the PDP, through his lawyers, had went on a fishing expedition to the United States to make sure they get this certificate that would nullify the ruling by the Presidential Election Petition Court, which affirmed Tinubu as the winner. So the court now also took arguments from lawyers of the parties by the motions filed. The Labour Party, the PDP and the APC Their lawyers all presented their cases and their appeals before the court. So at this point, the APC now, they are saying that this is not what they want. They don't want articles, evidence, fresh evidence to be accepted by the court. But the Supreme Court would be the one to be the judge of that. The Supreme Court would be the one to judge that issue. But however, the Supreme Court had, in all this process, the Supreme Court had reserved judgment in Peter Obi of the Labour Party's appeal against President. They had reserved judgment for the Labour Party and Peter Obi. They only dismissed the APM's appeal. That of the APM, they dismissed the appeal because they said it was lacking in merit and all of that. So the APM, they had to, withdraw their case at the Supreme Court. So guys, what are your thoughts on this very issue? Now the court is saying that they are conflicting letters from the Chicago State University on Tinubu's certificate. But then the panel of judges said at the end of this process, they would communicate the judgment to all the parties, to all the aggrieved parties. They will communicate the judgment to them. But as for Obi and the Labour Party, well, their cases or the judgments are being reserved. So guys, I'm dropping here. Kindly share your thoughts on this in the comment section. Thank you.